Good afternoon. What's up, Marty?
Yo, what's up, Power Play? What's up, Ronnie? How are you, my brother?
Doing good, doing good. Everyone out there, welcome to Real Estate Power Play every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Central. We're walking you through strategies, tips, all the inside secrets on how to build your real estate business, how to connect with sellers, how to sell your properties, how to invest in them, really how to build wealth. And today, me and Marty, and we were going to have another, but he actually he's dealing with his family got into a car wreck, so he had to step out. So it was kind of crazy. So
everybody's okay, Ronnie.
Everyone's okay. Yes, everyone's okay, which is good. Which is good. So we're gonna have a conversation about the sales and acquisition process. We're gonna talk about how to contract properties, how to unpack sellers' needs, and how to I don't like using the word convince, but remove barriers from doing business with somebody. So, and if you guys don't know, this man across the table from me, or across the screen from me, Marty Grisanti, this guy, man, he's a freaking sales maniac. So we're gonna ask Marty a bunch of questions. He's gonna ask me questions from your system, how you got into sales, what you do to get people to come on. So, Marty, my man,
we got a great show.
So, yeah, absolutely. So kick us off, man. So we're jumping into acquisitions, right? We're jumping into talking to sellers. How do you approach that conversation? Like, what does that look like? Do you go into it to every conversation, with energy? Do you have a specific process? Are you looking to accomplish something? What does that conversation look like for you?
Yeah. And you know what's funny, Ronnie? I think a lot of people who are starting out, they want to be investors. They want to make deals and all that stuff, right? But the part that they don't like is this part. I think this is a big miss for a lot of people. You can work on your, organization. You can work on all these different things in your LLC and your website. But guys, this is where you make money. This is it. Yeah. This is the action. When we talk about taking action, it's talking to people, in my opinion. And Matt and I, we look at it like this. It's really, at the very most simplistic way of explaining it for me, is I'm a human talking to another human. And I'm all about two things. I want to find out about I want to fix a problem, but I got to find that problem first, because not everybody's just going to give you the problem.
That's right.
Right. So you have to be a human. And when I say be a human, I mean building rapport, essentially, is what I mean by that. And what's rapport? Well, rapport is just talking to somebody and connecting with them. And whatever that means to you, like if you have a certain hobby, and guys, here's another thing. Do your research. See if you can find out about something about that seller, something about that property, something that is going to break the ice, so to speak, where, like, for instance, let's say you're calling a guy and the property's next to a school, and you can maybe you went to that school and say, oh my God, 123 Main Street. I remember getting off the bus and looking at that at Northwood. We used to, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm sorry, you probably got one of my Frisbees I used to throw over there. I'm sorry about that. I love that school district. I love that school. How you doing? I'm Marty. Okay. So, you know what I mean? Again, an example, but just thinking outside the box, trying to, again, connect with the seller, Ronnie. That's number one, right?
Well,
what about you?
Yeah, well, and I think that's really good because when you're in there and you're trying to build that rapport and create that connection, even if there's not specific things that you can find out beforehand, you want to be able to throw the seller a bone, right? Like to show them that I'm human. I used to do this all the time. I still do this actually when I jump on calls, is I'll throw out information to normal questions that allows them to connect with me. I'll give you an example. So like when you call someone, hey man, how's it going? What's up? Right? And let's say I'm following up with them. Oh man, how are you? Oh man, I'm doing good. I got up early. I actually spent this morning with my 4 kids. It was awesome. We went on a walk, blah, blah, and now I'm back into it. And now I've shared information about myself that allows them to connect with me, to create me being more personable, so we can maybe sidetrack the conversation to create that. But in the midst of that, while I'm building rapport, I also want to build credibility very, very early on, especially if we're working through a process. I want to build credibility that I'm not just friendly, I'm not just professional, I'm not just someone you want to know, but I'm someone you can look up to. And often what I've told people, and in light of this, is when you first start off, as you're getting used to sales, as you're getting used to talking to people, your intent is more important than your technique.
Yes.
Right? Like the intent, like I'm here to help you. I'm here to buy your property. And that genuineness of the intent of connecting is way more important than, oh, let me make sure I say this right, or this or that. Like when you're starting off, especially, and even as you grow and you get better in technique, you don't want to get more robotic. I would say that it's so important to maintain the clarity and that friendliness and that, hey, this is what I'm here for. Not, okay, let me make sure I say that exact word, and let me make sure I say this, and let me make sure I say this. Like keeping that pure stream of direction that you're going is so important. So
Ronnie, no, real quick. So those 3 things are giant, right? So number one, when you were saying you're connecting, right? Well, when you told them a little bit of a story about, well, that's the point of, guys, when you give, you're going to get something, right? So if I give you something personal, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get something from you that's personal, right?
That's right.
Ronnie's like, yeah, I was hanging my 4 kids. Oh, you got 4 kids? Yeah, actually I have 2 kids, and things are getting crazy. So okay, now stories are starting to open up. Human connectivity starting to open up, right? So that's huge, guys. When you give, you get. The second thing is that, oh God, it's so good. Write this down, guys. Your intent is so much more important than your technique. And oh, by the way, guys, not everybody is doing this. So not anybody, right. It takes a special person, guys, to get on the phone and start doing this. So you're already going to be better. Like everybody's thinking, okay, I got to say this because I got to do this little trick to make. No, if you come at it with the right intent, start there and then build on that with your technique, but start always with your intent. And the credibility, another huge part, Ronnie. I love those 3. I love what you just said there. That's huge.
Awesome. So as you're getting into this, right, you get somebody on the phone, you start off, you're going after that. What are the core elements of the acquisition conversation when you're connecting them? What does that flow look like for Marty, right?
Sure.
As you're going through this flow, what does that look like? What are you trying to accomplish? And then what I want to do is I want to kind of zoom out from that and talk a little bit about techniques, a little bit about things that we do, whether it's frame control or cold reads or vocabulary, different things we can talk about. But what does that conversation look like for you?
Yeah. So we're going to, number one, I want to know, are you actually the owner of the property? Right. Sometimes, guys, and the truth is with the list that you pull and all that good stuff is, you might be talking to the son, that has the same name, or you might be talking to the wife. So I really don't want to start the conversation off with the wrong person, or I want to make sure that, it looks like I know what I'm doing. So if I say their name, you know what I mean? So I really want to know if they're the owner of the property, number one. And really for us, again, I'm number one building rapport. I'm just right at the beginning. So it might be like, for instance, hey, Ronnie, this is Marty. Listen, you don't know me. Oh, by the way, guys, real quick, I'm smiling this entire time. Okay. I'm smiling. I'm excited. And if you are someone who role plays a lot, or maybe you've been doing this a lot, you've been talking about, you got to remember, this is the first time the seller's ever heard you talk before, right? This is the first time you've ever heard this pitch potentially for. But I'm going to say something very similar. I'm going to say, hey, Ronnie, this is Marty with Upstate Home Buyers. How you doing? Let me ask you, Ronnie, I'm sorry about it. Are you the owner of 123 Main Street? And they'll say, yes, hopefully. And what I'll then do is I ask them a couple questions. Listen, I just got to tell you, I love this area. And we're buying properties constantly in your area, in your neighborhood. I'm just curious. Have you ever thought about even taking an offer on a property? So not my offer, but just anybody's offer. You ever thought about it? So I'm really just opening it up to conversation. I'm starting off with, hey, I'm Marty. I'm with Upstate Home Buyers. A nice thing is my name makes sense, right? If you're like, XYZ Properties, maybe you got to, for me, it was all about making sure they knew exactly when I call Ronnie. They knew exactly what I was talking about in 3 seconds, right? I mean, That's my thing. I don't know if that's something that you guys do or you practice, but that's number one is knowing.
Yeah, no, that's so good. So, and I think that when you're talking, and especially when you get someone on the phone, the reason why that first 3 seconds, Marty, is so critical is everyone has a BS filter.
Yeah.
Right. In our business, we call them RDRs, right? Reactionary defense responses, right? Think of when you walk into a store, right? And you're walking and someone's like, hey, can I help you? Nope. Right. It's immediate. Even if you're going to buy something and walk in there, the first response is no. And it's a safety mechanism, right? It's I'm in control. So I don't want you to tell me what I'm going to do. Let me control my own space. And sellers do. And this is why I think people are so scared, right? And wholesalers or new investors are so scared because they don't know how to deal with that initial, might not be a response, but it's that initial rejection, negativity. You're not real. You're trying to lowball me. Right. And that first element is, I like to call it's the hurdle. And then you got to slow back down to unpack, because right away people don't unpack, right? Right away people throw up a wall. But if you can get over that wall, and I do it very, very easy. I call it out. Okay. There's a technique called a cold read. All right. And a cold read, and its very basic form is, instead of saying, hey, Marty, how are you? And allowing you to respond, it's like, Marty, it looks like you're having a good day, man. Right? I'm implying what's going on in their world. Man, has it been a tough day? Right? And so I use that in almost all my calls. So especially right at the beginning. So it'll be like, and so mine is a little bit different. I try to keep my enthusiasm a little bit underground, but I try to bring in a lot more conviction into the call is really where I'm focused is, hey, is this Marty?
Yes.
Hey, Marty, this is Ronald Walker. I was calling about your property at 123 Main Street.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. It sounds like I caught you at a bad time.
No.
That was the cold read right there. No? Are you good? Hey, man, I was just curious. Have you thought about selling that property or not really?
I've been thinking about it.
Okay. It sounds like you're a little hesitant. And then what I'll do is I'll go in, but I'm using that cold read to lower that initial defense. Right. So where I'm like, hey, it sounds like you're hesitant. They're like, no, it's okay. Like, what's going on? Right. And they're letting me in. And then I can unpack why I'm calling. But again, same thing with what you talked about. You want to immediately, within 3 seconds, tell them who you are and what you're doing.
Well, the truth is this, right, guys? So the truth is, and Ronnie, that's so good, right? But it's not initially what you say. It's kind of how you say it, in my opinion, right? Like if you have conviction. See, I'm a high tempo. I'm going to come at it in a different way, but that's how I am. And I have conviction and I've won this way. Right. So I'm going to continue to win this way. Right. But I know that. So okay, here's another thing. Ronnie might get a deal that I didn't, and I might get a deal that Ronnie doesn't because of but at the end of the day, it's who's making the call for number one. But yes, let's really dive in now, Ronnie, on some of those techniques that are going to help you. And I love what you said about the conviction. I think that is probably the most important, if not the most important part of sales, is the conviction in, yourself, your company, or in what you're doing for that seller.
Well, and Marty, I think that when it comes to talking to them and bringing that energy, what it is how can I say this? Can you weaponize, or can you bring your natural energy up a notch when you're talking to somebody? So for instance, in our example, you have between me and you, and everybody's going to have a different energy level and a different personality. Can you bring your best self to that conversation? Right? Because the way you come to the conversation, if you try to act like me, dude, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Like, we have different styles. And if I try to act like you, it's not going to work. But if we can both bring energy and enthusiasm and clarity, well, then it's just a matter of tweaking and getting better and gradually increasing through reading, through other things. But guys, when you start off these calls, the start is the hardest part. I would say the start is, we used to talk about that the hardest part is picking up the phone and dialing it, right? Is looking at the leads on the screen and just dialing the number, and then just getting in. Because once you're into the conversation, it's so much more natural. Once you're talking, why is it easier to follow up with people than to call new people? Because you're already in the conversation. You already have rapport. It's just a matter of getting over that hump, right? Getting over that hump and talking to them. And then just a lot of times you'll start connecting, and then it's like, you'll just fall into making an offer and get a deal, especially if you're new. If you're more advanced, what you're thinking about, and you've done tons of deals, you're trying to figure out, okay, how can I replicate this process, right? How can I replicate my conversation myself, so I make it easy on myself and within other people to make it easy on them? So Marty, I want to know your secrets, bro. I want to know the secret, because you get some freaking rocking. I don't know if you guys know, this dude gets some freaking rocking deals, not only with cash properties and buying them cash to flip. He gets amazing rental properties. He gets mobile home parks. You're doing commercial deals, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're cold calling every day.
Yes. Yeah. So
you have cold callers, but you're cold calling to keep yourself sharp.
Absolutely.
You're talking to other people. You got lots of leads, and every one, man, you're, Jimmy on the spot. Walk me through like some of that stuff, man. What are some of those things that you're able to kill these deals?
Absolutely. And I really think it comes down to enthusiasm, and I think it's, I had a boss that told me when I worked at a pool store that you're either, when you get a phone call and you're talking to the customer, or you're talking to the seller, you're either fired with enthusiasm or you're fired with enthusiasm, right? You either need to be fired up with enthusiasm or you're going to be fired with enthusiasm. So that's stuck in my brain for a long time. It really is for me is I know, here's something I know. And if you're listening to this and you're talking to sellers, you need to know that you are going to help them, right? And if you know that to your core, that no matter what, whether you buy it or not, that you can point them in the right direction or help them, then it's going to be, then they should be so happy to talk to you, right? Because you're there to solve a problem. Typically there's an issue when you're making a call. You know with your list that there's something there might be there, whether it's probate, whether it's an eviction, whatever it might be. Well, you're there to help them. So if you keep that in your brain, because this is going to help you guys call. Not everybody has the wake up every day looking forward to making cold calls. I'm a little bit of a psychopath, right? Because I like it. But if you come at it knowing, hey, I'm going to help this person, Ronnie, right? I'm going to help this person. I truly believe it. Then every single call, I believe that they should be looking forward to my call, right? Because I'm here to help them out. I mean, what's your mindset when you're calling?
No, dude, that's so good because my mindset is slightly different, but it's similar.
Okay.
Right?
It always is, Ronnie. Me and you.
Yeah, it's slightly different, but it's similar.
Yeah.
But the ability to come in and say, you know what, the people that are upset are not the people I'm trying to connect with.
Right.
Right? Like, I don't care about those. And I think if we can have that approach is, hey, when I'm calling and they're like, nah, blah, blah, and I'm like, those aren't the people we're trying to connect with. But my thought process in that is very similar. Like, I'm here to help, but really I'm digging for gold. Like, my thought process is, man, every person I go past, I'm closer to gold, right? When I jump on, everyone that says no, I'm closer, right? 10 people might tell me, no, you're crazy. The 11th one, I'm going to get there, and that person's going to be the one that I can help. And here's the other thing is, I think the one thing that you hit the nail on the head that I freaking love is, no matter what their situation, I'm going to help them.
100%.
Right? If you take that approach, you can say, hey man, I'm not the right guy for you. Like, I'm probably not the right guy for you. I don't know what that's, but what are you trying to do? And what you can do is, you're not just going for something specific, but you're going to say, what do you like? Are you trying to sell? Are you not? Where are you at? Oh, I've got this problem. I've got this, but I'm not going to accept a lowball offer. Okay, well, what does that mean to you? And you start unpacking what they're talking about. And what you're doing is you're saying, it's okay if you don't work with me, right?
100%.
There's lots of great options in the marketplace. I'm not for everybody, and everybody's not for me. But why don't I know this? And like, this is what I do. Let me walk you through your options. And what this does is it telegraphs confidence. And that's really what people want, right? People want confidence. One thing that I realize that people absolutely hate, especially with the new digital age and robots and VAs, is it's not that people care, and people get this wrong, especially in acquisitions. Sellers don't care about accents. What they do care is robotic, non-interactive conversations, right? So like my VA, our follow-up specialist is a VA, okay? And we train her daily, literally every day. We have 30 minutes, and it's about how to open up, how to interact and flow in the conversation, right? How to listen and respond and go down a rabbit trail and then come back. Because the techniques, a lot of VAs will just stick to a script and just work through it. We want our people to connect. We want them to have a conversation. And so if you can do that and you can say, hey, you know, it sounds like you're not really willing to sell, and you're willing to do that, even a VA can come across as credible and build that credibility within your company, right? Because that's what we don't want to lose. We don't want to lose that credibility, because as you're talking to them, man, like just like what you said, being able to be willing to help them all the way through to the expense of your time. You know, there's a quote in one of my favorite business books of all time. It's called The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. It's very big, but he talks about working for free. And he says, those who work 1 hour a day for free, that 1 hour a day will pay them more than all other 8 hours. And that's the mindset going into these calls. Man, guys, it is an investment of time. And if you put in that investment and you don't rush it, dude, that will pay off. It will pay off through a referral. It'll pay off through that guy connecting you with an attorney. It'll pay off through, you know what, I talked to 5 other dudes. I really do need to sell. Can we do it? Or he'll be like, you know what? I really, honestly, man, I just didn't want to be lowballed. What do you think you could do? Look, I'm not going to be able to come up to it. Well, I understand, but what can you do?
Love it.
Right. And it'll literally, man, that hard conversation, think of like a seed, right? That hard conversation that's in the dirt, you plant that seed and you start just watering it with a little bit of intent, a little bit of, hey, I'll help you, a little bit of professionalism. And what will happen is it'll boom, a sprout will come up and you'll be like, oh dang, there's an opportunity there.
So true.
Right. And so if you're sowing seed all over, like we used to talk about, hey, just sow seeds. If you sow seeds, just have conversations. The ones you think are going to blossom are probably not, but there's going to be some that just blow up. One dude's going to call you. I've had a guy call me back and be like, hey, my sister just mentioned she inherited a property. Is that something you guys could work on? Yeah. And then boom, it turns into a $55,000 deal, right? Because I took 15 minutes to have a conversation with this guy. Right.
And that's the key thing, Ronnie, that we got to make sure we double down on, because when you talk about credibility, this could be the first time you've ever done a deal. But if you're having a conversation builds credibility, not what you've done in the past, so to speak. You can build an absolute ton of credibility by just having a really good conversation.
Yep.
So keep that in mind when you make these calls. The other thing I will say is this, because I am super passionate about cold calling, because you should do it, number one. And why I say that, especially for new people, is because the amount that you will learn from the seller, the stories that you might get to hang up on, right? But you'll learn a little nuance. You'll learn something about why sellers sell. You'll learn something about, hey, I'm calling absentee landlords. You'll learn something about a landlord, right? And what does that mean, landlording and property man? You'll learn something about the industry. And that's what this is about. It's learning the industry so that next time you're having a call, you can go, you know what's so funny, Ronnie? I actually just talked to a seller that I'm working with on ABC Street. And he goes, Marty, I'm just so sick of these new eviction laws here in New York State. I got to get out. I'm sure, Ronnie, that's probably the same thing for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right.
And so you're learning about this business. And I'll tell you right now, for people who are not, okay, and you are whimsical about your day, and you're trying to figure out what you can do, if you are not taking time to make at least 20 to 30 calls a day, you are missing out substantially. The people that are not successful in this business are the people that are waiting for a deal to come on their desk. And that doesn't happen. You have to be ferocious. You have to be a hunter. Yes, you have to farm on some other stuff, but you need to get after it and go. And if you're not, you're missing out.
Absolutely. So Marty, getting out there, getting after it, what are some of the techniques that you use? So we've talked about enthusiasm. We've talked about opening up the conversation, right? We've talked about how to connect with them, how to open up, start having. Now, what do we talk about? Like, what are the things that if I'm new, or if I'm even seasoned and I've been going through, what are the most impactful things that you touch on during that call?
So I want to know, hey, sounds like a great property, Ronnie. Why you want to sell it, right? I want to know why. What's going on? What's making you? Whether it's go ahead.
Why is so? What is the reason why that's so important? Like, why is that so important to us? Why is understanding their situation so important? Can you unpack that? Unpack that for me, like, because a lot of people miss this. A lot of people, they just want X price. They just want, right? The price isn't right. Why is that so important? Unpack that for me.
Yeah, the why of why they're wanting to sell is going to tell you so much about the situation, because, guys, the reality is maybe they're not ready to sell that day, but they might be ready to sell in 6 months, right? So it's something that you can maybe keep on your follow-up chain. But the why is going to tell us, hey, the problem. The why of why they want to sell is going to tell the problem. And the problem is going to let us know how much of a motivated seller this is or not, right? It's going to also tell me, hey, this is something that I'm going to be able to fix for you. Because if you can solve that problem for them, they're going to, right now we want to number one, destroy doubt when we call, right? Because there's a lot of doubt that happens when we first. So the destroying doubt happens when you start to figure out their problem and start to give them options on how they can solve that problem, Ronnie. That's what I believe.
That's right. Yeah. And so when you're unpacking, what I like to think about is, and what I've struggled with is, hey, okay, I'm asking why, but then I'm thinking, well, they just want an offer, right? But that's the wrong mindset. There is a reason, like when you move, right? When you're selling your house, let's say non-investing style, and I decide, hey, I'm going to move over here. It's not just, hey, I'm just trying to try to get the right price, right? There's a reason behind it. And a lot of time people want to sell, but there's a lot of logistics that they're just not only unfamiliar, but they don't want to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is where the value comes in that we bring is, hey, when we unpack, what are they trying to accomplish? Why are you selling? Okay, well, then we can go down to, okay, where are you at in that process? Right? What have you done? What's next for you?
It's
what
such important questions.
I should do.
Such important questions. Yes.
And the reason I think is right what you talked about is if you understand where they're at, then you can insert yourself as the helper, right? With a solution of walking them through instead of just a price. It's okay, you're here. Well, have you thought about boom, 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 right? And then you start outlining a path for them and they start thinking about it. And you now become a guide. You're not just an offer, right? Because an offer, you can get an offer from anyone. That doesn't mean it's going to make your process easier. But you're able, like you said, to solve that problem, to walk through it and really help them. Right?
Well, look at yourself as a consultant when you're on the phone and you're talking to a seller, right? You're a consultant, and when you start figuring out the problem, and part of that is, guys, is people don't really, this is an old quote, right? They don't care about how much you know until they care about, how much you care, right? Until they know, they don't care about how much, right? Until they know how much you care. So because when you're asking those questions, it shows that you care. It's not about just a cash deal. It's sometimes it's not even close to that. Yeah. It's getting through. And it's maneuvering around, and then it's starting to, and then you're also connecting the whole time. You're asking these questions, you're connecting, you're building rapport. And I'm sure, Ronnie, you've bought more houses based on rapport than price and the offer could have ever done.
Absolutely.
And that's so key to remember. It's so important to remember that.
Well, and the reason why that's key is because they build a trust. Right? They build a trust. So Mark said, how do you know what the seller's issue is? I think really the way to find out the seller's issue is just to ask them. Right?
Absolutely.
It's just to ask. You kind of have a thought in the midst of the process, right? You kind of have an idea based on the lists that you're calling.
Right.
Right? If you're calling probate, hey, there's going to be a probate situation versus a foreclosure, right? Like you could do that, or a tax situation, but people aren't always honest. But if you can frame it and you can unpack the scenario, and sometimes it's good to be like, hey, I noticed blank on the property. Did you know that was the case, right? Hey, I noticed on the property there was like, $12,000 in taxes owed. Like, what's that about, right? And you can just ask. And a lot of times they'll either be like, no, and they'll deny it, or they'll be like, yeah, I inherited the property from blank, and then they'll unpack what's going on. And that's all. Guys, don't use this as, I like using the term weaponized, but I don't like using it in this phrase. Don't look at it as gotcha, right? Look at it as, man, this guy's really struggling.
And Ronnie, there's another thing that's really important with that is that you're going to have to, guys, as you're calling and talking to sellers, you're going to have to ask the uncomfortable questions, right?
That's right.
So for a lot of people, these are going to be uncomfortable questions to ask. But it's critical that you ask these questions because that is how you build the rapport, the connection, all those things. And by the way, solve their problem because that's what this is about, right?
That's right.
So if you're not asking those tough questions, if you're not maybe going before you ask the question, then it's an easy question. It's a they can get out of that question. You're going to ask those tough questions because that's what's going to get them to open up.
Well, and I want to kind of hover there for a second on the question. So I have what I like to, and where I train my guys is what I call like vocabulary when you're working with somebody, right? And asking questions, because a lot of times you can ask questions, but people are really nervous about asking questions, right? Like, man, I don't know, like this is personal. Guys, you can make this very easy. Okay. First, when you're asking questions, like be authentic in the way you ask the question. Don't be weird. Don't be like, hey, what's your mortgage? Right? Like, don't be weird about it. But what you can do is you can soften the questions. And so here's some vocabulary that I personally use all the time. The guys here, everyone I've interacted with will hear this from me, but one, always say please and thank you. Right? Like, please and thank you are underrated, first off. So always do that. Hey, thanks so much for sharing that. Right? Hey, would you please blah, blah, blah. Right? Use those two because it's just being polite. But if you have a question, hey, may I ask you a question about blank? Use the word may I. Right? Hey, may I do that? You're asking permission to go to the next step. It softens the blow a little bit. Hey, may I go in this direction? Right? The next thing you guys can do is you can use the word request. Hey, let me make a request. Can I make a request? Hey, Marty, man, everyone wants to give you what, right? Hey, can I make a request on something? Oh yeah. What's up? Right. And then the third one is specifically when you're asking tough questions or you want to kind of point the conversation. Hey, do you mind if I make a suggestion? Like before just going into it, like ask these three different, if you just interchange these three different things, guys, you will see a dramatic uptick in your conversation. So it's may I, it is, can I make a request? And can I offer a suggestion? Like, can I give you a suggestion? The last one that I'll give you, and I've got a whole bunch here, but the last one is instead of telling people they should do something, a lot, like I see, dude, I don't know how many acquisition coordinators do this. They're like, well, you should do blank. You should do blank. You should do blank. The problem with should, when you guys use this, is it communicates judgment, right? It communicates that if they don't, they're lesser than. And people don't like that. People will immediately buck. They'll shut down. Instead, replace the word should with ought. Because ought allows you to have an out. Hey, you ought to do blank. Hey, Marty, you ought to check out this book, right? Rather than, hey, Marty, you should read this book, bro. And you're thinking, oh God, right? Like, but hey, Marty, we were talking, you ought to check out blank. And that way, if you don't, you still have an out, but you're able to engage in that conversation. What are some words or some ways that you do to soften that conversation?
Well, I just got to say, guys, so those are just little tiny things that make such a big difference when you're talking to a seller or even like a sophisticated seller that are over time what gets you down the next step. It gets you to them to pick up your follow-up instead of the 7 other people that are going after it, right?
Yeah.
Because you said please and thank you. I mean, it's crazy to think that that's something that, again, it's important to remember how it's so important to be nice when you're talking to people, right? So again, just because they're going through a situation that it doesn't matter. They're a human being. You got to talk to them like a human being, and you got to give them the same respect as anybody else, right? Now
that reminds me, it's funny because I was on the phone about 2 weeks ago. We were behind on leads, and I looked at our incoming leads and we had like 35 new leads. And my follow-up specialist was doing her follow-up stuff. My acquisition coordinator's plowing away. And he's like, dude, I got X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to be able to get to them. And our policy in our company is that the new leads bucket has to be empty every day, right? So we have our cold callers that come in. Our acquisition coordinator reaches out to the new people. If it's an attempted, it goes to follow-up specialist, and we've got a handoff process, okay? But that new leads bucket has to be empty every day. So he says, hey man, I need some help. Like I'm way behind. There's like I said, there's like 35 or 34 leads in there. So I jump into smartphone. I open up the campaigns. I put a new campaign because we do a single line dialer for our new lead campaigns. And I start jumping on the phone. And so it's going through. And one guy calls me. He's like, hey, blah, you guys keep calling me. I was like, dude, it sounds like you don't want to sell. No, but you guys keep lowballing me. I just want a good offer. I was like, well, if you really, and I kind of got aggressive with him. I was like, if you really want a good offer, do you think this is the way to start a conversation? And he was like, what? I was like, dude, man, I'm here to help, but I don't know what you're like. What are you trying to accomplish? Well, you guys keep calling me. Well, it sounds like you want to sell. Do you or do you not? Because if you don't, I can just remove you. But if you do, like, let's unpack that. Well, you're the first person I've talked to that's had a real conversation.
Right.
Right. And I'm like, well, tell me what's going on, man. Catch me up to speed. Right. And boom, all of a sudden we're in a conversation. And then I stopped. I said, hey, man, it sounds like you're just kind of having a hard time. Right. Like not only is today kind of crazy, but you're like in the midst of a whole bunch. You feel like, and this is what he really felt like. You feel like everybody wants your property, but everybody's not really willing to work with you. And so you feel like you have all these options, but you don't know what to choose. He's like, Ronnie, man, that's exactly right. He's like, well, let me ask you this. Investment properties that we're buying over in your area by blank, like we're down, and I don't know if I can come up. Like our offer would be somewhere around blank. I don't. Now it ended up not being a deal, but it was great, more likely that was a deal because I was able to just bring it back. Just like, hey man, what's going on? Like, are you serious? Like, okay. And then realizing that a lot of people that are aggressive and kind of explosive, think of the times, and guys out there who are listening, I hope this helps. Think of the times when you're the most upset, right? Right? When you're upset, when you pick up the phone and you're upset, it's usually because there's a problem. It's usually because you feel like something in your life is not going the way you want it to go, right? You're frustrated. There is a massive problem, and you do not want other people to add to the problem. But you know what? If someone actually sat down and offered you their help, and you felt genuine that this person is looking to help me, you would probably open up to them. And you'd probably be like, man, this is what's going on. Here's the issue is most people have an alternate motive. Right. We have in 2021, we have a BS filter up to the roof. Right. But if you can figure out how can I not BS and be pure with my intent? Hey, what's going on? Like what's going on? Are you trying to sell? Are you not? If you're not trying to sell, that's cool. I'll remove you. But here's why I'm here. Do you want to? And the purer you can be and the more confident we can be, like it. I think you can be excited, you cannot be excited, but people want genuine experts, professional people to walk them through this process. People just don't want, they demonize us in their heads as vultures, as ravens, as snakes. Like I've gotten letters in the mail from postcards. You're a vulture, right? Like this is how people think. What they want is they want help, right? If this old lady's husband just died and she can't afford her house, she wants help, but she feels like everybody who's calling is just trying to pry on her situation. So if you can show her that you're willing to help and you can cut through it and be like, look, I don't know if I'm going to buy it, but tell me what you're thinking. Like, what are you thinking? Why you think? And then you just focus on them. Guys, that That's killer.
Well, isn't that
they're jumping in and doing it? Go ahead.
No, because that's so good because, part of it is, you guys got to remember, a lot of people didn't wake up thinking they were going to sell their house today to you, right? So, this is a cold call, right? So we're figuring this out together. And when you come at it with that intent, when you come at it with that truth,
yeah,
and hey, I've already done this before. I do this all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I do this all the time, sir. Right? And what's going on? Let's figure this out. Tell me about it. Like, you come at it like that, with that sort of like confidence, conviction, enthusiasm that you just talked about, Ronnie, you're going to win more times than you're not.
That's true.
And it's really important stuff, guys. It's so good. Rewind that if you need.
Yeah. So Mark asked, what are some good resources to learn how to talk to sellers like this? So I'll recommend two. There's two books that I can think of. And Marty, I want your recommendation. I've got so many books actually, but two specifically. There's one that's Negotiating Real Estate. I don't remember the author, but it's a blue book with like a yellow tag in the middle. Super amazing book. Guys, go check that out. That is a really, really good book on negotiating with sellers. The second book I would highly, highly recommend is The Go Giver. The Go Giver is just a fantastic, fantastic book on how to change your approach, right? To offer value first when you're talking to people. So if you want to learn kind of how to do that, there's lots of other books. You could do Never Split the Difference. You could do Start with No. You could do lots of different things as far as talking how to win friends and influence people. One of the ones I like is How to Get Your Competition Fired. There's lots of different sales books that you can learn these techniques. But guys, don't let that be your learning on the side. A lot of people will spend so much time doing that and not actually having a sales conversation. Like, guys, the conversation will be the number one biggest thing for you to learn. And then as you're getting these techniques, just add one into your conversation, literally just one, and see how it works, and then add another. But don't go read a whole bunch and be like, all right, let me try to figure out how to put all this in my conversation. That's not going to work, right? You want to be pure in your motive to buy the house. What about you, Marty? What are some resources, man? That
well, thank you. First off, two thank yous. Thank you for listing every single book that you can do. And then second, but the second, guys, is thank you, Ronnie, for saying do that on the side, right? Like, you're gonna make deals by calling people, because guess what happens when you just make dials? Somebody goes, you know what? Thank you for calling me. I need to sell my home and I'm not there, and just make me an offer. That happens.
Yep.
Right? But you got to get punched in the face 100 times, 200 times before you get there. This is not easy, but it's not difficult either. Right? So it's more,
a game. It's a game.
It's a game. It's certainly something, guys, that it's not easy, but it's simple. You get on the, yes, my resource though is Never Split the Difference. I think it's a no-brainer. Audio book, reading book. Start there, in my opinion. Okay. But get on the phone, learn from the sellers. They'll tell you what you're saying wrong. Guys, they're going to let you know what you're saying is right or wrong. They're going to know. And the more you build up your confidence of just getting on the phone, getting punched in the face, getting hung up on, that's how you get good. That's how you become someone who is effective, is someone who actually does the work, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and the work is, I think, to circle it back to what you said at the beginning, guys, acquisitions is about talking to people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is the work is how we're going to get deals. And Marty, if you were to put an hourly rate on on talking to people on the phone, like, how much do you make from talking on the phone versus your other activities?
I can't put a number on it because of all the different things I've learned and all the deals that we've made by me making the calls. Because I'm going to continue doing it, right? I'm going to continue doing it. And it's something that if you are not doing it, you're missing out.
Well, because you can
tell you that much. That's it. Good. If you're not doing it, good. Because I'm doing it. Huh?
Yeah, one deal.
One
deal makes you, it could make you $20,000.
Right.
Right? One deal could make you $100,000. It could make you $5,000. But building your website's not going to do that.
No.
Right? Calling and just connecting with lawyers isn't going to do that. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not going to do that. Like, we're in this business to do deals. And if you want to scale up, we need to figure out how to talk to more people. Like, there's a reason the two primary things that we measure on a behavior basis in my company are the number of phone calls and the number of conversations. Literally every single day, I look at that number. Every single day, right? We have to have 80 calls a day and 15 conversations minimum. Like, that's our minimum standard. And so when you're thinking about that, guys, and when you scale up, once you can get consistent, and Marty, I think this is so good because once you're talking to people, not only are you going to get better, but then if you can figure out how to talk to more people, more business is done. Guys, we can't do business without someone else to exchange business with. We can't do a service. We can't buy a house unless there's a house to buy. And you're not going to have a house to buy unless you find the opportunity.
It's crazy. It's crazy that people are not doing it.
Right. And so,
yeah.
So, Guy, I guess to finalize and wrap up our call, man, what is one or two more thoughts, things that they should take from this call? Anything else you didn't mention? What are some final closing thoughts for them?
Well, I'll give you a slick trick. I'll give you a quick little slick trick because a lot of times when we're talking to sellers, they're going to say, hey, I'll sell it for the right price, right? And a quick little slick trick that I like to use is I go, that's great. I'll buy it for the right price. What price did you have in mind? So it's not an end all be all, right? But if you're going to get the same sort of questions, guys, as you start dialing and making deals and making things happen, start figuring out what your responses are going to be for those same questions that you get. It doesn't have to be that one, right? But whatever you kind of keep getting, you want to start putting that out and making sure right away when you get it, your go-to line. Have a script. There's nothing wrong with having a script in front of you. I made dials for 8 years at my old job. I did millions of dollars worth of sales, and I had a script in front of me because I believed in it, and it was always there. It was my little blankie when I needed it, when I couldn't remember what I was going to say next. So,
you know what's so funny about that, Marty? Every time I do sales calls, even to today, people argue, and I like having conversational calls. I have 3 scripts in front of me for acquisitions. Every time I do, I have what's called our if-then script. If this happens, I'm going to do this. I have my normal flow script, and then I have my script for making the offer. And I have all 3 of them in front of me because they're different. So if I can have a normal conversation, but then I can look down and be like, oh yeah, I need to talk about blank. Or, you know what? They're really upset. Let me do this. Or, oh, they got offended. Oh, what do I do when people get offended? Oh, okay, blank. And it gives me a second and it pauses the conversation. And dude, silence is power.
Absolutely. Yeah, because there's no award. You're not going to win an award because you don't have a script in front of you. Okay. Like, let's just get it out there. Okay. Get a script. You need a script. Have it in front of you. Stick to the script until you learn how to have a conversation. Because guess what? It's going to take you a little while to feel comfortable. So have the script. Get through the script. Yes, if you can have a conversation, have it. But if you can't, stick to the script.
Dude, someone told me, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but he said, your favorite movie, it was a script. I was like, yo, that's powerful. Right? Like, think of your favorite movie and how amazing it was and how impactful. Dude, the whole thing was scripted.
Real quick, Ronnie, another thing, because you just made me think of it, is with a script, guys, when you're on the phone, you don't have to be Marty Grisani. You don't have to be Ronald Walker. You can be whoever you want. You can be the best salesperson in the world. And you can just say, listen, when I'm on the phone, I'm the best salesperson in the world. When you get off of it, you can go back to being Marty. So when you get punched in the face, it's not Marty that's getting punched in the face. It's just the guy I'm an actor, right? I still believe in what I'm saying, just like any actor. But if you have a script in front of you, you can act like this is just a play. I'm just going to read this script like it's in theater. And by the way, I'm not taking anything seriously. It's not going to come back to me what they say, because that's not me. I'm doing my duty today as a best salesperson I know, and that's who I'm going to be today. So you keep those kinds of techniques. You don't have to be yourself when you're on the phone. You can be someone completely different. You can be the best salesperson that you know, and that's the person you should be.
That's amazing. Awesome. Well, lastly, before we wrap up, I think remembering that conviction is key, guys. Like, come in with conviction. Know that you're there for a purpose, right? If you're there for a purpose, you'll get the deal. And don't let, like Marty said, don't let their rejection, don't let whatever they say change what you do, right? You can talk to 300 people. You could talk to 400 people. And if you have to talk to 400 people to get one deal that makes you $20,000, is it worth it?
It's a no-brainer.
It's absolutely worth it. If you've got to talk to 700 people and to get a $25,000 deal, guys, talk to freaking 700 people and show up every time with a smile on your face and get it done so you can make $25,000 or $40,000 and change your freaking life.
Change your life.
Right? And so, guys, that's what I would say is just handle that, approach it, have the conversation, and go. Guys, every Tuesday, we come here at 12 Eastern time for Real Estate Power Play. We're here to talk about everything real estate. We're talking about creative financing. We're talking about acquisition conversations. We are here to help you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Hit us up on our Real Estate Power Play page. Ask some questions. Reach out to us directly. We want to provide value. We want to help. And if you have any questions or anything you'd like us to talk about, let us know. Otherwise, we will be here next week at 12 p.m. Central Time. Until then, peace.